Imagine you are like 12 years old, right? You're standing on a stage at a middle school talent show in Auckland, New Zealand.
Just a totally normal, terrifying middle school experience.
Exactly. You're just a kid with a voice singing your heart out in this standard, probably super echoey school gymnasium.
Yeah, we've all been in that gym.
Right. But then, fast forward just a few short years.
Yeah.
You are definitely not in a gym anymore.
Far from it.
David Bowie. Yeah, I mean, an absolute undeniable legend is suddenly calling you the future of music.
Oh.
And then you've got Dave Grohl from Nirvana saying your work is revolutionary. It's just a dizzying leap for anyone, let alone a teenager.
It really is. I mean, it's the kind of trajectory that just completely defies the normal laws of gravity in the entertainment industry.
Totally.
But it happened.
Yeah.
And it happened with staggering speed, fundamentally altering the entire landscape of pop music.
So welcome to today's deep dive into Lorde's 2013 debut smash hit, Royals. And look, if you're listening to this, you've heard the song.
Oh, it was inescapable.
Literally everywhere. But our mission today isn't just to talk about, a catchy tune. We are exploring what was a literal cultural reset.
A total shift.
Yeah, we're going to unpack how a teenager managed to kill the pop Bling era using a free internet track and uncover the really unlikely historical inspirations hiding in plain sight in those lyrics.
And we can't forget the heavy cultural controversy that followed, too, because when a piece of art reaches that level of total market saturation, it stops functioning just as a song,
Right, it becomes something else.
Exactly. It becomes a mirror for the society consuming it. You can literally track massive shifts in technology and class anxiety and cultural tastes just by looking at how this one track behaved.
It's like a Trojan horse, almost. A piece of anti-pop perfectly disguised as a pop song. And to really grasp how it did that, I feel like we have to start with the spark.
The timeline.
Yes, the completely unusual speed of its creation, because the timeline here is wild. So Lorde, whose real name is Ellie Yelich O'Connor, was discovered back in 2009.
Right, by an A&R rep named Scott McLaughlin. He actually saw footage of that exact school talent show you were just talking about.
Which, just for anyone who might not know the industry jargon, an A&R rep artist and repertoire is basically a talent scout for a record label.
Yeah, their entire job is to find that raw material, the untamed talent, and then basically figure out how to package it for the masses.
And he clearly saw something in this 12-year-old. Because by 13, she was already writing her own original material.
But it wasn't a smooth process at first. I think a lot of people assume the label just hands a young artist a hit song, puts them in a booth, and that's it.
Yeah, I always kind of picture the pop machine working like that.
Right, but that is not what happened here at all. The industry machine actually didn't quite know what to do with her. She went through several pretty unsuccessful studio sessions with different established songwriters and producers.
Because they were trying to fit her into that pre-existing teen pop mold.
Exactly, and it just wasn't clicking. She wasn't a standard bubblegum pop star. It wasn't until December 2011 that McLaughlin paired her with Joel Little. And on paper, this was a really bizarre pairing.
Well, for sure. Joel Little was the former singer and guitarist of a New Zealand pop-punk band, right? Goodnight Nurse.
Yeah, Goodnight Nurse.
So you have a pop-punk frontman and this moody teen writing art pop.
Yeah.
How did that even translate into a generation-defining sound?
Well, it worked because Little did something really crucial. He actually listened to her.
Huh?
Yeah, he was so impressed by her vocal performance and her innate songwriting abilities that he just threw out the standard playbook. He didn't force her lyrics to fit his music.
Oh, he reversed it.
Exactly. He composed musical structures that were based entirely around the cadence and rhythm of her words. He built the architecture to fit the foundation she was already pouring, essentially.
And she poured that foundation unbelievably fast. I mean, the lyrics to Royals, this song that literally won Grammys, were written by Lorde at her home in July 2012 in just half an hour.
It's insane.
30 minutes to write a song that changed the decade. And then, during a school break, she and Little recorded the track at Golden Age Studios in Auckland in exactly 1 week.
Just 1 week. That speed is a massive indicator of the clarity of her vision. She wasn't second-guessing herself at all.
No, she knew exactly what she wanted. But the inspirations she was drawing from to get that clear vision are honestly fascinatingly disconnected. Like, I am still tripped up by the title.
Royals, yes.
Because it feels so deeply connected to, like, British monarchs or aristocracy. But that's not where she got it from.
No, not at all.
She got it from a 1976 National Geographic photograph.
Specifically, a photo of the American baseball player George Brett. He played for the Kansas City Royals. And in this picture, he's surrounded by fans, signing baseballs, and he has the team name Royals just emblazoned across his shirt. Lorde saw the picture, and the visual weight of the word just struck her.
She just liked the aesthetic of the word.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
She mentioned in an interview that she just thought it was a really cool word.
I mean, I'm struggling to see the bridge here, though. How do you get from a 1970s baseball player to taking lyrical shots at the opulence of modern pop music? That feels like a massive conceptual leap.
It is a leap, but it makes total sense when you look at what else she was consuming at the time. She combined that striking visual of the word royals with the deep historical fascination she had with actual aristocracy.
Oh, like European monarchs.
Right. She was reading heavily about monarchs like Marie Antoinette and Henry VIII, figures defined by absolute sickening excess, you know.
Cake eaters.
Exactly. And then she looked up from her history books and looked at the modern royalty of the pop and hip-hop world broadcasting on her television.
Ah, the 2010s Bling era.
Yeah.
We're talking artists like A$AP Rocky, Drake, Nicki Minaj, and specifically Jay-Z and Kanye West's massive collaborative album, Watch the Throne.
Yes, Watch the Throne was huge for this. She was listening to these massive records, and she noticed this constant, relentless referencing of extravagant wealth.
Expensive alcohol, luxury cars, gold teeth.
Right. And as a teenager, living a very normal, completely mundane middle-class life in New Zealand, she experienced a profound disconnect. She connected the fatal excess of Marie Antoinette directly to the modern excess of the music industry.
Because it was an ecosystem that simply did not represent her reality or the reality of anyone she knew.
Exactly. So she writes these biting anti-glamour lyrics based on that disconnect.
But, okay, if you put those lyrics over a standard booming 2013 club beat, like think of a David Guetta or Calvin Harris track,
Yeah.
it would be completely hypocritical, right?
Oh, 100%. The production had to be a literal sonic rejection of the mainstream world she was critiquing.
So how did they do it?
Well, Royals is fundamentally a minimalist art pop and electropop song. It draws from hip hop and indie pop, but the production is intentionally stripped down to its absolute bare bones.
Like barely there.
Yeah. Let's look at the tempo. In 2013, pop radio was completely dominated by high-energy EDM tracks pushing 120 beats per minute or more. Royals drops all the way down to a moderate tempo of 85 beats per minute.
Which literally, physically forces the listener to slow down. If you were listening to the radio in 2013, you probably remember how completely jarring it was to hear this slow, methodical track right after like a bombastic Katy Perry anthem.
It totally disrupted the physical momentum of pop radio. And furthermore, it's written in the key of G major, but specifically utilizes a mixolydian mode.
Okay, wait, for anyone who isn't a music theory major, including me, what does a mixolydian mode actually feel like to the ear?
Okay, think of standard pop music as a bright, cloudless, sunny day. The mixolydian mode drops a slight, intriguing cloud cover over it.
Oh, I like that.
It alters one note in the scale to create a feeling that never quite resolves. It keeps your ear hooked, waiting for a cheerful pop payoff that she intentionally withholds. It creates this constant tension.
And the instrumentation creates so much tension, too, because it's so incredibly sparse. It's basically just, what, finger snaps, a heavy bass, some light percussion, and a hip-hop beat built using Pro Tools.
That's pretty much it. That low-fidelity, synth-enhanced production creates a massive amount of empty space in the track. And in a crowded sonic landscape, silence is a weapon.
That's a great way to put it.
That empty space forces you to focus entirely on her vocals. She performs with the sultry mezzo-soprano delivery. Critics immediately started comparing her to heavyweights like Amy Winehouse, Lana Del Rey, and Florence Welch.
NPR actually described her vocal performance as capturing the exquisite ennui of a precocious teenager.
Which is spot on.
It really is. You know, when you describe that stripped-back production, it makes me think of the song almost like an experience. It sounds like being in a really glamorous, exclusive VIP club, right?
Sure, yeah.
The music is blaring, everyone is drinking champagne, and suddenly someone just flips on the harsh fluorescent lights, the music stops, you look around, and you realize you're just standing in a messy, kind of sticky basement.
Yes.
Royals completely stripped away the illusion of wealth that pop music had been aggressively selling for a decade.
It forced the listener to confront the reality of their own surroundings. When she sings about being tired of hearing about Maybachs, crystal, and gold teeth, it's a reaction to growing up in New Zealand, immersed in what One critic termed American cultural imperialism.
Because you're sitting on the other side of the world, and American media is constantly telling you what wealth and success are supposed to look like. It's incredibly alienating.
Fundamentally, it is a song about social class. It's about looking at the screen and realizing that the luxury items being celebrated are utterly disconnected from the drab, everyday reality of the people actually buying the music.
Which honestly makes the way she actually released the song so brilliant. Because she didn't launch this anti-consumerist anthem with a massive multi-million-dollar corporate PR campaign.
No, that would have completely defeated the purpose.
Right. Instead, in November 2012, Lorde essentially just dropped Royals for free on SoundCloud as part of the Love Club EP.
And she released it for free because she actually understood her demographic. She knew that teenagers her own age didn't have easy access to credit cards. She wanted her peers to be able to hear it without any financial barrier to entry.
That is just deeply knowing your audience. And it worked instantly. It got traction on social media, and by December, it was already playing on New Zealand radio.
But to conquer the globe, it required a very specific mechanism of the 2013 internet.
This streaming algorithm.
Exactly. The catalyst was surprisingly tech-driven. American entrepreneur Sean Parker, the guy who co-founded Napster and was an early investor in Facebook, he put Royals on a Spotify playlist he curated in April 2013.
I'm going to pause on that for a second because today, getting on a Spotify playlist is just standard marketing. Everyone does it. Why was a single playlist placement such rocket fuel back then?
Well, because in 2013, the music industry was in this really weird transitional phase. Traditional radio gatekeepers still absolutely ruled the world.
Right.
Getting a song on American radio usually required massive label pushes, expensive marketing, deep industry relationships. But streaming was just beginning to flex its muscle. When Sean Parker put Royals on his playlist, it triggered Spotify's algorithmic viral chart.
Oh, wow.
It peaked at #1 there by May. Suddenly, you had millions of people streaming a song that radio stations didn't even have in their systems yet.
The internet essentially bypassed the gatekeepers and forced mainstream radio's hand. Like, the people chose it, so the radio had to play it.
Exactly. It jumped from alternative radio to contemporary hit radio, and eventually to rhythmic contemporary radio in the U.S. The momentum was entirely organic and completely unstoppable.
It turned into an absolute juggernaut. I mean, it knocked Miley Cyrus's Wrecking Ball off the #1 spot on the Billboard Hot 100, and it stayed at the top for 9 consecutive weeks.
9 weeks is a lifetime in pop music.
We are talking over 15 million copies sold in the U.S. alone, hitting 14 times platinum by 2023. At 16 years and 11 months old, Lorde became the youngest female artist to top the Hot 100 since Tiffany sang I Think We're Alone Now back in 1987.
She even broke a longevity record held by Criss Cross since 1992.
It's crazy.
But her success proved to the entire industry that in the streaming era, an unconventional song from an unknown artist could find a massive global audience for free, completely subverting the traditional radio ecosystem. It was a permanent shift in how hits could be made.
But as we know, there is always a consequence to that kind of scale.
Always.
Whenever a song reaches that level of inescapable ubiquity, when you hear it in the grocery store, in commercials, blasting out of car windows, it stops being just a teenager's personal diary entry. It becomes a target for cultural analysis.
And not everyone viewed her critique of pop culture as a harmless observation about class.
Right. The song faced some serious, heavily debated scrutiny regarding its lyrics. The backlash essentially argued that by mocking items like gold teeth and Maybachs, Lorde wasn't just attacking wealth. She was specifically mocking the markers of success for Black hip-hop artists.
The critique was that these items aren't just generic symbols of money, they are specific tropes within Black culture.
Exactly. And just to be clear, we are reporting impartially on the sources here, but a writer for the feministing blog, Veronica Beatty Flores, heavily criticized Royals, explicitly calling it racist based on those specific lyrical choices.
Yeah, and building on that, the argument expanded into how the music industry handled the song. Spin magazine writer Brandon Soderberg argued that the industry's push to include Royals on urban radio stations was a troubling attempt to whitewash traditionally Black radio formats by injecting a white artist's anti-rap message.
That is a really heavy accusation. But couldn't you also argue she was targeting standard white rock star tropes just as equally? I mean, the lyrics also specifically call out trashing the hotel room.
And that was exactly the foundation of the massive counter-reaction defending the song. Journalists and publications like Complex, Vice, and the Washington Times strongly disagreed with the accusation of racism.
They pointed out the rock star stuff.
They pointed out the lyrics about trashing hotel rooms as a classic, affluent, white rock star stereotype. They also highlighted the line about diamonds on your timepiece, which evokes high society socialites or even Russian oligarchs.
Right.
The counter-argument was that the song was a broad, universal critique of extreme wealth and class inequality, regardless of race or musical genre.
If you step back and look at it, you really have to acknowledge the complexity of the situation. Yeah. Because even if you accept that Lorde's intent was purely about class inequality and extreme consumerism, the visual optics are complicated.
Very complicated.
You have a white artist from suburban New Zealand writing a song that critiques tropes undeniably central to black hip-hop culture that is absolutely bound to spark a valid, necessary cultural debate. Yeah. You just can't untangle race and class in music that easily, especially when you're critiquing an art form like hip-hop that was originally built by marginalized communities as an escape from poverty.
It's a highly nuanced conversation for sure, and it highlights how a piece of art transforms when its context changes. What Lorde wrote in her bedroom as a reflection of her local New Zealand reality took on entirely different, much heavier historical and racial meanings when it was broadcast across America.
The author's intent doesn't dictate the audience's reception.
Exactly.
Emerging from all of that intense debate, Lorde still had to visually introduce herself to the world. And she cemented her vision with a music video that perfectly encapsulated her original, localized intent.
Oh, the video is brilliant.
It really is. It honestly changed the DNA of pop music visuals for the rest of the decade.
The video, directed by Joel Cafali, is a masterpiece of anti-glamour. Instead of a high-budget performance, it intentionally highlights the incredibly mundane, boring reality of suburban teenagers.
Yeah, you see a boy taking a shower, eating breakfast, cutting his own hair.
Just waiting around at a dull train station.
And Lorde is barely in it. You see glimpses of her, but she's not the central focus of the camera at all.
She intentionally minimized her own screen time. Think about the era. Pop stars in 2013 were selling every inch of their personal lives and physical appearance. Lorde realized that maintaining a sense of mystery, keeping herself slightly out of focus, was actually a massive asset.
It made people lean in.
It made them curious, yeah.
And it totally worked. The video has over 900 million views on YouTube now. The industry had to bow down to the cultural shift she initiated. She took home Song of the Year and Best Pop Solo Performance at the 2014 Grammys.
And the legacy of Royals goes far beyond awards. Analysts credit this exact song as the turning point for mainstream pop music's transition toward a minimalist, darker, moodier sound.
The alt-pop wave.
Exactly. It essentially paved the way for an entire generation of alternative-leaning pop artists. Billie Eilish, Halsey, Olivia Rodrigo, Clairo, their sound, and their unapologetic, grounded personas all trace back to the door that Royals kicked open.
Even the absolute legends knew what they were witnessing. Elton John called the song beautiful in its simplicity, and apparently even told Lady Gaga that she should take notes and focus on going in a similar direction.
Critics frequently compared the impact of Royals to Nirvana's Smells Like Teen Spirit, not because the tracks sound anything alike sonically, obvious.
Slightly different genres.
But because both tracks violently disrupted the music charts of their time, and both songs decried the very pop industry that they instantly became a part of. They both proved that audiences were starved for authenticity, even if that authenticity meant pointing out how fake everything else around them was.
It continually amazes me that a song written in 30 minutes about being bored, being broke, and taking the train completely rewrote the rules for young women making radio-friendly pop music.
It altered the formula of what a hit could be, both in how it sounded and how it was distributed to the masses.
Which brings us to a final thought for you to chew on today. We started this deep dive talking about a teenager trying to dismantle the pop kingdom. But the ultimate lingering paradox of Royals is what happened after the song conquered the world.
Right.
This was a raw, anti-consumerist anthem about never being a royal. But by resonating with so many millions of people, that very message made its creator incredibly wealthy, deeply famous, and a central decorated pillar of the exact pop aristocracy she was critiquing.
It is the eternal trap of the successful rebel. Once you conquer the system, you become the system.
So the question it leaves us with is this. Does reaching the absolute top of the pop kingdom invalidate an anti-pop message? Or does it just prove exactly how universally desperate we all were for something real?
A fascinating contradiction to consider the next time you hear those opening finger snaps.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us as we explored this massive cultural moment. Thanks for listening to this deep dive, and keep tuning in for more stories worth knowing. Catch you next time.